episode 2 of the Cayeluhb podcast, where I answer all of your burning questions. My name is Cayeluhb. I'm a Twitch streamer, a musician, and plenty of other things. And that, being a musician, is going to link right into our first question. So I have 5 great questions today from 5 great guests. Again, if you have a question, you can email it to dbdcayeluhb@gmail.com. If you're on YouTube, that email will be in the description. So, this podcast again. First of all, I'm gonna start every episode by sharing my favorite comment on the previous one. So, today that prize goes to Michael Malatesta, who says, "You got a good radio voice. Kind of like a smarter Howard Stern." I appreciate that. I appreciate that you think I'm more intelligent than Howard Stern. So, yeah. So, question 1, we're going to dive right into. This comes from my good friend Jefferson. And Jefferson asks, how do you produce your music? So, I've actually had to answer this question a few times recently, coming out of college auditions for sound recording tech programs. So, let me take you through the timeline of my use with recording technology and whatnot. So, in 2018, I went to a camp at Neighborhood Music School. And in that camp, it was basically like a 1-week intensive where you were given random people, you formed a band with them, and you wrote 2 songs together. And our band was really good. I mean, we actually got to the point where I think by the end of the week we had 7 or 8 songs written. It helps when you have someone who has band, like history. I'd been playing in a band already at that point for a while, so it really does help when you have someone with experience. But we did very well, and in that, in the week, basically what it would be was you would come and you'd have like an introduction seminar. Then you would have like 2 or 3 hours of rehearsal time. Then you would have a master class on your specific instrument, and an option thing where you could choose what to do. So there were a couple different places. There was like sound recording tech. There was yoga. There was vocal technique. It was very, very like in depth. Very it was cool stuff. And my friend Sal, and my friend Zane decided, and my friend Connor, who I actually haven't spoken to in a while, and I really miss him. I really miss everybody at that camp. It's been a while since I've seen them. But we went to the sound recording tech thing, and throughout the week we actually got to sit down in the main stage, and like everyone who was there had their own specific instrument, so we all just played something, and then right before us he would mix it and show us everything he was doing, and it was just, watching it was like, this is so freaking cool, like this is really something I want to go into. And so I was like, okay, what's the first step for me to go into this? So the first thing I did was find a decent program to use with this, and I found Audacity, and I'm actually using Audacity right now to record my vocals. I think that in terms of recording vocals, in terms of recording strings, and in terms of recording just individual parts, Audacity is an excellent tool. I think that Pro Tools is probably the best thing on the market right now, but I do not have Pro Tools. Hopefully I'll have it by college, but right now the 2 main programs I use are Audacity and FL Studio, and I'm using Audacity for, like I said, vocal edits, sampling, and like effects, because I just have more experience with Audacity. It's a lot more comfortable for me. I like the user interface a little more. It's more fluid for me. I can work faster on it. But I use FL Studio for electronic music. So applying plugins and actually using them to their fullest capabilities, and actually making music, I definitely choose to use FL Studio. So let's see. I think I got the demo version of FL Studio like the beginning of last year, and it's actually a really funny story. I was making a beat for someone at the time, a a white 13-year-old rapper, yes, but hey, a job's a job. And I was making the beat for him. And the thing about the FL Studio demo is you have access to almost everything. But the most important thing that you don't have access to is saving your file. So I essentially never closed FL Studio and never shut down my computer for upwards of a month and a half, maybe 2 months. I mean, it was it was the first beat I've ever made. It was pretty basic stuff. It was just piano, bass, drum set. But I mean, it was good. I mean, I thought I did a really nice job with it. I was very proud of it personally. And I got a really nice producer tag too. The rapper had his sister say, "Cayeluhb, you're a fool for this one," in a voice full of sex appeal, which is. Anyways, I'm just gonna move on from that. Yeah, I mean, I've been using FL since then. After that, I was like, this is an awesome tool to make beats with, and I really started using that. And then my band and I were like, we should start recording some demos, and we rehearse at my house because I have the drum set here, and it's hard to move a drum set if you didn't know that. So they were like, we should record at your place, and I was like, okay, that's fine, but you need to bring all the equipment. And they were like, that's something. So in lieu of that, I went out and I did a lot of research, and I found a few excellent pieces of equipment. So the first piece of equipment is, there are a few things I'm using right now, but the number one thing, my favorite piece of equipment, is the Audio-Technica AT2020 mic. It's a condenser microphone. I'm running it through a Yamaha 10XU board, which is a very, very nice board. 9 to 10 inputs with XLR capabilities, quarter-inch capabilities, phantom power, effects. It's really nice. I use the same board to run everybody's instruments through in a band. I also have a direct box, which is, I have it right here. Sorry. Yeah, I have a Whirlwind IMP2 direct box for recording guitar. And I mean, I also have the AK Professional. I don't know how to pronounce it. It might be Akai. If someone's listening and is very passionate about their MPK Mini, I'm really sorry that I butchered that, but it's a great tool. It is a mini keyboard with a built-in 8-layer drum pad. It has an arpeggiator. It has a pitch shifter. It's got a lot of knobs. Very, very useful. And I mean, I think that's a really great tool. I definitely use it a lot when I'm figuring out melodies, when I'm playing, just playing around with stuff. I think it's a great tool to have. So I mean, yeah, all of the stuff that I have in my inventory, if you are interested at all in production, if you are interested at all in recording anything, if you're going to record vocals, I would say get this mic. This mic is a budget mic. I think it's $100 or less, and it is a terrific mic. It is amazing. That you can just do so much with it. There are so many capabilities. It's so versatile. It's great for recording strings. It's great for recording voice. It's great for recording even drums. I've recorded drums with it. Recording drums with one condenser mic is not ideal, but it didn't come out too bad. The board is terrific, especially when you're playing with a band, because you can all just plug into one board. Excuse me. Again, the MPK Mini is brilliant. I really, really like the Mini. It's travel size too, so I'm going to be able to bring it to gigs. I'm going to be able to bring it to college. Very, very helpful. And then the direct box is also great. It's got a couple inputs too, so you can record multiple guitar parts at once. I love the direct box. So yeah, that was my production nerd rant. But yeah, for most of the music that I have out, and that's also on this YouTube channel and will be on the SoundCloud eventually, I can actually upload them very soon. They'll probably be uploaded around the same time as this gets uploaded. I have 2 instrumentals out right now. I have Know Yourself and Breath of Fresh Air. out on YouTube, and I will be getting those out on Spotify shortly. I actually have an EP hopefully coming out by the end of March. Right now that seems a bit that seems a bit close, because I still have like another 2 or 3 tracks to make. But what I've done so far, I've really liked. I've been really proud of, and I'm very excited to share that with you guys. So that's the first question. I really spent a lot of time talking about that one. Sorry, that was a good question. Our question number 2 comes from my good friend Jack. And Jack asks, is listening to sad music a good thing? So that, I would say, is very situational, right? I listen to sad music. I listen to a lot of sad music. I have playlists for sad music on my Spotify. You guys should all follow my Spotify, by the way. I'll link it in the YouTube channel. I listen to a lot of sad music. I have a lot of sad albums. Swimming by Mac Miller, Circles by Mac Miller. I have both of them on vinyl, and those are extremely sad to listen to, especially now that he is no longer with us. Rest in peace. But I think sad music is good at the right time and place, right? I don't think that you should, because music can and does alter your mood, and this is something that I'm very passionate about as a musician. Music 100% alters your mood. It can alter who you are, because it can change what you think about. It can remind you of different things, right? So, like, I would say, if you feel like you need to express yourself, if you feel like you've been pent up, and listening to sad music is a good release of emotions for you, it is a fantastic thing. That's one of the big ways I use it. When I'm going through a lot, right? When I have a lot of stuff like on my mind, stuff that's occupying me, when I'm really stressed out, or maybe even if I'm just really sad about something, sitting down and just listening to sad music and crying is very healthy for you. Crying is extremely healthy for you. That's I don't know if you guys have ever heard about this. I don't have the science to back it up on me right now, but I've done quite a bit of research into this, and crying is good for you. It's a release of emotions. One of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite series of all time, Naruto, fantastic series, comes from a fantastic character, Itachi Uchiha, and one of the best quotes in the series. Itachi says, "A man does not cry because he's weak. A man cries because he's been strong for too long." And crying is a beautiful release of emotions, because you can't have your guard up and be crying. When you cry, there is no doubt that the person crying there is you, right? There's no way you can put a mask on that. There's no way you can be a different person. If you are really crying, and that is, something is deeply emotionally affected inside you, you will be entirely yourself, and that is beautiful. And I think crying is 100% necessary, because if you don't cry, you're internalizing, and you're holding all of that in, all of those tears, literally and metaphorically, you're holding all of that in, right? And when you're doing that, what happens if you can only take so much, right? If you take a balloon and you start to fill it up, right? And it gets pretty tense. It gets to a good size, and you keep trying to fill it up. You keep trying to fill it up. You keep trying to fill it up. It pops. And that will happen to you if you keep internalizing, pushing things down, pushing the tears away. Instead of releasing the air, right? Instead of loosening up and releasing the air, releasing, excuse me, you're gonna pop. And I don't necessarily know what that means. It could be different for everybody. You could pop in a screaming match with someone you love. You could pop by hurting someone you love. You could pop by hurting yourself. It's a very scary thing. So sad music is important to express yourself, and it is important to cry. But on the other hand, right, we've got all that. On the other hand, if you are sad, right, and you are really, really sad, and you are constantly sad, right? If you're in a state of depression and you listen to sad music, I guess my question is, and it's a question I have for myself too, because when I was going through harder times in my life, I did this a lot as well. My question is why? Why do you do that? Is it because you get the relatability of the singer, songwriter, whoever, the producer, whoever it might be? Do you get that relatability of them being sad? Right? Is that what it is? You feel less alone? Do you want to feel more sad? That's the thing, right? Do you want to feel sadder? Do you want to wallow in your sadness? I guess is the question that I've asked myself a lot. And I think that question has actually helped me a lot, right? Is when I was in therapy, right? My therapist told me this. I want you to imagine that you are sitting down in a chair and you're at a table, and across the table from you is your depression personified. It doesn't necessarily have to take the shape of a person. It can be like a blob, but it is there, sitting there, staring back at you. And I think the most powerful thing about that exercise, at the time I was like, what? Like, this is so weird. But the interesting thing about that is that it's emphasizing this point that this depression is not you, right? It is part of a mental illness that is not part of you. You cannot internalize your depression. You are not one with your depression. You are not one with your anxiety. You are not one with your mental illness. It is a whole nother thing that's affecting you, right? If you got the flu, that's an illness. You wouldn't say, I am the flu, right? You wouldn't say, I'm fluid, man. Like, oh, excuse me. You are, I don't know who I'm saying you to. We as people, all of us, I think just need to take a step back and look at this and say, you have an option here. If you need more time with it, because it can be valuable for self-exploration. But you have to sit here and ask yourself, as you're staring at your depression sitting across from you, as you're staring at your anxiety sitting across from you, is this making me healthier? Is this making me happier? Am I increasing my knowledge about myself? Am I increasing my knowledge about the world? Am I increasing my awareness? Is this benefiting me in any way? And even if it is, how do you weigh out those cons and those pros? So you might say, like, oh yeah, I'm benefiting a lot. I'm learning all about myself. That's a pro. But the con is I'm learning that I'm a shitty person and I hate myself all the time, and I'm upset and I'm depressed and I don't want to do anything and I don't want to go outside and I want to sit in my room and cry and I want to stare at the ceiling fan for hours. No. That's not healthy. Like, come on. I don't know who I'm yelling at, but this is, maybe I'm yelling at myself. I think I am yelling at myself. I'm yelling at a version of myself that didn't want to do anything but sit there and wallow in my sadness. I mean, like, I think a lesson that I learned from that's very valuable for everybody is you really need to take a look at something and say, is this beneficial to me? And if it's not, stop doing it. Because it's your life, right? And that doesn't mean be self-centered. That doesn't mean be egocentric. But what are the only things that you have control over? Your body and you, right? Your mind. So if something is happening in your mind that is making you unhappy, that is not benefiting you, why would you play into that? And I think that's something that's big. So I would say, as a whole, for that question, listening to sad music can be great to release pent-up emotions, is important. It's definitely important to express yourself through that sad music, but don't let it add gasoline to the fire. I think is something that I need to take a look at myself. When I get sad, I love doing that. I love just sitting there in my sadness and woe is me and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that's my opinion on it. Obviously, it's up to anyone's interpretation. And if you guys disagree with me, I would love for you to really try and articulate as well as you can why you disagree with me in the comments. And I mean, I don't want it to be an argument. Obviously, I want it to be like a respectful discussion, because I think that's ideally what this podcast is just a respectful discussion, a respectful forum to talk about ideas in. And I mean, I would love to and then maybe even invite you on for an episode and discuss that question. So that's my opinion on that. Our next question is our first listener submission, so this is very exciting. This question comes from my boy MVK, and MVK asks, what do you think of the freshman-senior hierarchy? So we're obviously going on a lighter note a bit here. The freshman-senior hierarchy, it's actually funny because I just got the notification that my graduation form has been emailed to me, so that's interesting. That's exciting. The freshman-senior hierarchy, I think, has its pros and cons, right? First of all, to any prospective freshmen, to any 8th graders, or to any freshmen that are scared, there's really no such thing as freshman bullying. It's common on sports teams that you might do a little bit of hazing. I know we haze our freshmen a little bit, but there's no such thing as Freshman Friday. You're not going to get shoved into a locker for being a freshman. Everyone's been a freshman. Don't worry about it, all right? And even if there are seniors that are mean and are going to shove you into a locker out there, seek out the seniors like me, like all of my friends. I mean, I know that none of us are going to go just hitting freshmen in the hallways for being in 9th grade. Like, that's just the stupidest shit to me. But on the other hand, I think that there is 100% some merit to the idea that a senior deserves more respect, right? Even if like the freshman is some genius who comes in and is like, double 1600 SATs, whatever, and then you have a guy who is working his ass off and he's passing, B minuses, C pluses. That guy deserves more respect. And it's not because the freshman did anything wrong. It's not because anything like that, but it's simply because the senior has been through more and the senior understands more. And it's 100% that way on a sports team as well, right? You might have some stud freshman who has come up and is very talented and has worked his ass off in his varsity. And then you might have a guy who's been JV for 4 years, but really works his ass off, really grinds, and he's just not that good. And that's okay. I mean, I know that was kind of me this year. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like terrible. I mean, I was still on varsity, but I talked about it in the last episode. I did have a disappointing season, and that's fine. But like, if there were a stud freshman who were ahead of me, right, who still deserves more respect, and who is going to deserve to be taking the initiative, like during practice. And I will say that I really only believe this is important for freshmen and sophomores. I think once you're a junior and once you're an upperclassman, the senior to junior difference is really not that big. I don't think it's that big of a deal at that point. But I definitely think that if you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore, no matter how good you are, no matter how smart you may be, no matter how successful you are, it is important to take a backseat and respect your seniors and acknowledge that they've been doing this longer than you have. Even though you might be better than them at it, they deserve your respect and they deserve to be taking the initiative and taking the lead. So that's my opinion on the freshman-senior hierarchy. That was a pretty simple one, I think. Congratulations to all my seniors who are graduating this year, by the way. I'm very disappointed that we might not be able to get all our senior outings. We might not get a prom, but you know what? We're all going to survive, right? We're all going to live, and we're going to be unique as well. We're all going to, we're going to be class of 21, class of 20. We're going to be the only class that lived through this. Like, that's a pretty big thing, So be proud of yourselves, and be happy to graduate, right? All right, moving on. This question comes from a first-time asker. This question is from Jackson. And Jackson says, if you say something you regret later, does that make you a liar? And my shorter answer to this is no. No. Right? Like, that just... To me, that just seems so silly. Because everyone makes mistakes. And yes, certain mistakes are a lot more detrimental than others. And certain things that you do can never be rescinded, right? There are some things that you can do. There are some things that you can say. And no matter how much you regret them, you can never unsay them, right? You can never unsay anything. Once you say it, you've said it. And if you believe it, it's out there, right? You can't take that back. You can't go back. But what you can do is you can regret it, and you can go public, and you can admit you made a mistake. And I think the difference is, right, are you going to do that because people found out about it and called you out on it? Or are you going to do that because you're aware of it in your past, and are you going to come out and make a big deal? So, like, I guess what I'm kind of getting at here is like celebrities that have been canceled for saying terrible things. Like the first thing I think of is like 2012 Twitter, when there were a bunch of celebrities just throwing around slurs, right? And they've said terrible, horrible things. But one thing I have not seen a celebrity do is come out before anyone finds these terrible things they've said. Come out with them and say, I said these things. You are going to find out I said these things. They are wrong. I am a different person now. I understand if you do not support me anymore. I understand this. I understand that. But I need to make this public. I need to let you all know that this is no longer me. I am very regretful of these things that I did. So I think that if you say something and then you regret it later, that doesn't make you a liar. No. But you need to regret it for the right reasons. You need to regret it because either because you realize it was wrong, or something has just really changed in your life and has made a major change in you as a person. What is unacceptable, right, is after someone brings it up, right, and after someone goes on Twitter and says, oh my god, hashtag Cayeluhb is over party, and then I come out and say, the mistakes I've made in my past, I am deeply, sorry for and apologetic for, and I do not condone my actions in the past. People are only saying that because if they don't, their careers are over. Their careers are practically already over. They're just trying to save face. But if you come out and you say that before you get called out for it, I would have the utmost respect for any celebrity that did that. That would be the ultimate classy move to me. Because I've made mistakes in my past. All of us have made mistakes in our past, right? That makes us human. It has happened to every single one of us that we have said something that we regret a lot, or we have done something that we regret a lot. And again, there are certain things that you can do or you can say that cannot be fixed, no matter what. And you are going to have to live with the fact that you did that. Things come to mind like, like the deadliest of crimes, right? Murder. I don't want to go any further because I didn't put any trigger warnings, so I'm going to take a step back. So I'm sorry about that. That was a little over the top by me. I apologize. I don't want to go any further down that because I don't want to shock anyone who might be listening. So my apologies. But yeah, there are things that you can do that you can never fix and that will never be taken back, and you can never fix something you say and you regret, right? You can never unsay it. You can never unsend those messages. But if you come out against that for the right reasons, then that does not make you a liar by any means. That makes you someone who has grown and someone who understands that, and I would have the most respect for you as a human being. I really do think that's the huge difference, right? Who are you doing it for? Are you doing it, sorry, not who, what, rather. Are you doing it to save yourself and to save face? Or are you doing it because you truly regret your actions and have truly changed as a person? So that's what I think. It's reminiscent of one of my favorite artists, Frank Turner, in one of his songs. He says, last night I had a vision of people being congratulated instead of ridiculed and hated for admitting that they'd made mistakes. Right? I think that line is so powerful that we as a society sometimes really do punish people for making mistakes in our past without realizing that it's human. And I think it's a huge thing in the modern day society, in the modern world. Everyone needs to take a step back and realize that we're all people. We all have things we care about. We all have people we love. There's no them and us. There's no us and them. This isn't a Pink Floyd song. You know? I mean, that's all I have to say. So moving on to the final question. This question comes from my good friend Alex. In this one, we're going to end on a bit of a lighter tone. Who are your biggest influences as a creator? And I really, really like this question because I have a lot. And I'm going to divide it up into a few sections. So the first thing I'm going to divide it into is music. The second thing I'm going to divide it into is streaming. And then the last thing I'm going to divide it into are these podcasts. So in terms of music, the biggest influence I have are people in my real life, right? Everything that I write, everything that I produce is based on an experience that has happened to me that has been caused by another person, right? That's how human experiences work. That's how human relationships work. That's how we're affected by other people. And I think that's where art comes from at its core. I think art at its core is human relationships. So my number one influences are probably my bandmates, my good friends Nathaniel and Zane. My influences are my friends, my teammates, my enemies, right? Maybe not so much enemies. I wouldn't say I have any enemies. Again, as a very religious person, I have cast away with hate, or I like to think I have. I've tried to. I'm a big believer in love thy neighbor. I think that's the most important teaching in the Bible is to really love everyone as a person, no matter what they might have done to you in the past, right? So, people who have wronged me in the past, people who have done right by me who I've wronged, those are definitely my biggest influences as a musician and as a songwriter. And then in terms of like actual musicians and creators, Flows and Beats, who is a decently well known, he's not too big, but he's a decently well known beat creator on YouTube. His beats, his sampling is incredible. He was one of the big reasons I really got inspired to get into production. He was one of the main reasons I started doing beats. Tyler the Creator really inspired me, seeing that he produced everything on Igor. Mac Miller inspired me under his guise of Larry Fisherman as a producer. Mac Miller's my favorite artist, by the way. I might talk about him quite a lot in future episodes, just so you know. He's a huge inspiration to me. I want to be just like Mac minus the drugs, In terms of guitar, Steve Vai, I might be butchering his last name. I'm really sorry. Fantastic guitarist, fantastic composer. Ishika, who's a YouTuber, and is just insane. He's so freaking good. He is ridiculously good. Prince, in terms of songwriting, in terms of singing, in terms of vocalizing, Prince 100%. Prince is amazing. Let's see. John Mayer, big inspiration. And then Pink Floyd, just in general, is a big inspiration to me. I love Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd makes some fantastic music. And then beyond that, in drums, I can name two two major inspirations would be John Bonham, and John Bonham. You know, he's the man. I mean, nobody beats John Bonham. Neil Peart is probably up there too. Rest in peace. Man, I can't believe Neil Peart is dead, man. That's if you don't know who Neil Peart is, he was the drummer for Rush. YYZ. If you've never heard it, go look it up. Incredible stuff. Yeah, so then in terms of as a streamer and as a creator, the people I want to emulate in streaming and in gaming, Filza, obviously the inspiration for the Minecraft hardcore world. Gromic999, whose SMP I'm currently playing on my Twitch channel. You should check that out, by the way, at twitch.tv/Cayeluhb, twitch.tv/Cayeluhb. You should check that out. That's sick. He's really one of my favorite creators, of all time, and I'm very, very excited to be part of his SMP. That's super exciting. Gromic, J Schlatt always makes me laugh, even though I'm probably gonna be a little less political than Schlatt is. He doesn't fail to make me laugh. Ludwig, I really, really enjoy as a content creator. I mean, yeah, those are my major inspirations. Those are the people that I try to emulate in my streams. Those are the people that I try to be like. But more than that, I want to be myself. And I think I've shown that I have a really unique relationship with my chat on Twitch, which anyone who's been in my chat before, I think, will attest to that. And I think that's what makes me stand out as a streamer, and that's why I love streaming, is because I think I have a very unique, specific relationship, a very healthy relationship with my chat and with the people watching my stream. So those are my biggest influences as a creator in general. Thank you, Alex. That was a good question. So yeah, to recap, we talked about music production, sad music, the freshman senior hierarchy, admitting that you've made mistakes, and my biggest influences. So that's really all I have for you today. Again, if you have any suggestions for questions, or if you want to come on as a guest, just email dbdcaleb@gmail.com. That's Caleb spelled the right way, not the YouTube way. dbdcaleb@gmail.com. My Twitch is twitch.tv/Caleb the wrong way, Cayeluhb. My Twitter is twitter.com/TTV Cayeluhb. Ignore twitter.com/Cayeluhb because I got locked out of that account. Yeah, that's all I have for you today. All of the socials will be linked in the description of the YouTube video. My name is Caleb. Thank you for listening. I bid you all a good day. And thank you for being here.